Happy Easter, or as President Joe Biden and the White House in Washington put it, Happy Trans Visibility Day. Joe Biden inexplicably chose Easter Sunday, the day of Jesus' resurrection, a hallowed, the holiest day of all, to rebrand Easter Sunday as Trans Visibility Day. Visibility didn't seem to me the major problem that they had. Everyone knows that they exist, and when we see them, I don't often myself, but when we see them, they're pretty visible. It was a provocation by Joe Biden to rebrand Easter Sunday as Trans Visibility Day. It was a spit in the eye of the Christian community, and one gathers that there are quite a few Christians, even now in the United States of America. Biden sometimes claims to be one of them, claims to be a Roman Catholic, though he is in utter defiance of almost all of the most important parts of Catholic doctrine. He even pooed his pants in front of the Pope. In the Vatican, in what was described as a wardrobe incident, but was, well, quite a wardrobe incident, I can tell you from factotums who were present at the time. Biden claims to be a Christian. Why did he choose Easter Sunday to declare Trans Visibility Day? I have no idea, unless it is because he thinks that he's already lost the election in November, or unless he knows that meaningfully there isn't going to be an election in November, unless he knows something the rest of us don't know. This studied insult to the Christian community in the United States is likely to be the final nail in his coffin. Christ is risen. The resurrection has always inspired Christians around the world. Hundreds of millions of Roman Catholics in particular have fastened on the hope of the resurrection. On Good Friday, the saddest day of the year, Christians believe that Jesus Christ was crucified on the demand of the Pharisees, the Jewish establishment of the time. Pontius Pilate wanted nothing to do with it. He washed his hands, famously, of the whole matter, but the ruling elite amongst the Jewish people at the time demanded the death penalty for this rebel, for this outlaw, for this man, this Palestinian Jew who could walk on water, who cured the sick and healed the lame. Jesus Christ of Nazareth was put to death on the Friday that we now call Good Friday, but the resurrection followed swiftly. And that kind of thing is what has kept me motivated in more than 50 years in politics. The belief that even in the darkest hour, the dawn is not far away, that even in the worst adversity, that a phoenix can rise from the ashes, to mix my cultural metaphors. I believe in Jesus. I believe in his resurrection. I believe that he is the hope of the world. I believe in the judgment day. I believe that all of us on the last day will be judged according to what we have done in and with our lives that God gave us. I believe that we'll be judged on that which we did not do but ought to have done. And that too is a mainspring of my political and moral philosophy. You don't have to. You can believe that the man currently under anesthesia in Tel Aviv this evening, Benjamin Netanyahu, will not pay for his sins, will not pay for his crimes. He may evade the hammer of justice in this life, but you'd have to be a pretty hardcore atheist to believe that this man, Netanyahu, will escape eternal damnation for the crimes he's been committing, not just since October the 7th, but indeed throughout his entire political career. But he is not unique.
And Tertullian said that Catholic faith and Jewish power are like the two pans of a pair of scales. As Catholic faith goes up, Jewish power goes down. As Catholic faith goes down, Jewish power goes up. Because the Jews have always been, from the time that they crucified our Lord Jesus Christ, they have always been enemies of the Catholic Church. They have always known, they've always treated the Catholic Church as their number one enemy. And the communists the same. They know that the Catholic Church is their one enemy. The New World Order knows that their real enemy is the Catholic Church. And ever since Vatican II, the Church has been on its back, on the canvas, out for the count of 6, 7, 8, 9. The enemies of the Church think the Church is finished. It isn't. The Church will be back on its feet because God doesn't want the Church to be wiped out. And God won't allow it to be wiped out. But the enemies of God, Jews, communists, Freemasons, you name them, the enemies of God don't take God into account. They don't realize who he is, or they take him into account, but they're still determined to fight him to the death, which is what they're doing. Therefore, and God allows that. God knew from eternity that's how it would be, and God allowed for that. If you want to train a good boxer, you're going to give him good sparring partners and not bad sparring partners. If you want to train people to go to heaven, you give them a good fight while they're here on the earth and not a silly, sloppy fight. And the good fight comes from mainly the Jews, because the Jews fight against God. They're clever. God made them clever. They're clever, they're gifted, they're determined, they're resolute, they're motivated. And ever since the church began, they've been fighting the church. Therefore, and it's God who allows that for the purpose of making good Catholics. Therefore, if you want to slow down Jewish power, what God allows that power for is to show Catholics how much they're going to suffer if they don't have the faith. Therefore, the real way to slow down Jewish power is to restore the Catholic faith. And it's because Vatican II so undermined the Catholic faith all over the world and deeply that the Jewish power has been unleashed ever since.